Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 247, recorded on Friday, April 21st, 2023. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Tyler Colt.
And I'm Josh Oliver. Let's get right on into the show.
Let us do it. So, yeah, the astute viewers may notice here that I am joined by a different smiling face today. Josh Oliver is our VP of Operations, resident Zoho nerd, and the only man to give me hair envy with that flip going on here today. Thanks for
I don't
joining,
know what's
Josh.
going on today, but it's extra voluminous.
Yeah, for the audio viewers, go check out the YouTube version just to see Josh's hair flip because it is something. But thanks for joining, Josh.
Yeah, I was out of office last week, so I guess this is my comeback is helping with the show this week. So,
Yeah,
yep,
you're kind of
happy to join. Brett's out of office. He's in Paso Robles doing some wine tasting, so
yeah.
it's his turn to feel hungover.
Yep, I think I'm next. Alrighty, and with that, let us get right on into announcements and events. Alrighty, as you guys know, we did move the announcements and events over to club.zenatta.com, essentially our community forum built by Zoho nerds for Zoho nerds. Only announcement is just if you haven't heard so far, all of the questions asked during the podcast on any of our YouTube videos, we're answering on our weekly show, Zaz Ask Zenatta Anything About Zoho. So on every Wednesday, tune in and check that out. Otherwise, when it comes to events, we do have a couple that we've kind of snuck onto the calendar here. On May 2nd, we're going to be doing a full product tutorial on Z portals. It's a third-party application that allows your customers to get portal access into Zoho data. And then I think later in May, we're going to be doing a webinar here on inventory and how it ties in with Shopify and WooCommerce. Again, I think there are some Zoho kind of events going on. Obviously, Zoholics coming up here over the next few weeks. Couple sessions around extensions, driving product usage, Zoho Sign with Zoho Finance, which is a really nice integration. So please do check those out and make sure to head over to club.zenatta.com to keep in the loop about everything going on in the world of Zoho. And with that, we can go ahead and jump right on into the news. Alrighty, so first story here comes from the Zoho Writer team. They always do stay busy. And in this implementation, they are basically announcing a extension for Zoho Writer that will integrate it with Zotero. Zotero being a platform for citation and bibliography management. This one's pretty cool. I mean, would have helped me. I was a chem major back in college, and I always lost a couple points on citation formatting. So this one probably would have helped me out. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So if you scroll down in this, or maybe if you just click and watch the video, there's a little demo where it shows it will auto detect each paragraph, and then you can choose which paragraphs you want to cite. So
Mm,
then, whenever you click, I want to cite this paragraph, I th- I'm guessing it's searching the web for copyrighted information. So then you can then
interesting.
just auto cite it right there.
Oh,
Do you
that's
know
real nice.
exactly how it's citing or getting
No, it
the
looks like maybe
source?
it's searching. Yeah, it's searching for where you may have pulled that citation from. That's really
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, so it looks like you can easily add them. If you have a bunch of citations that you like to use, you can bring those in. And then they also have essentially the ability to search, right? Like we're saying,
Mhm.
locating based on fields, author, the title, any tags that have been applied. Um, So really slick. Looks like you're mentioning, it is actually kind of scraping for citations as well. So huge time saver in that regard. And then last but not least, obviously you're able to add them in a couple different formats, which again, if that's important, really nice to not have to think about it, right? Just pick APA and you're done. Everything is going to be formatted perfectly for you. So yeah, highly recommend it. Check it out if you are using Writer and anything that you're doing requires citations.
Yeah, very cool.
Alrighty, let's get into the second news story. This is kind of the big one this week. This is one I think people have been asking for a long time. It's related to Zoho CRM. And essentially, this is Zoho introducing what they're calling global sets. to more easily manage pick lists. So you want to break this one down, Josh, kind of like why this is so commonly requested?
Yeah, so whenever I guess last year or before this update occurred, you had maybe a source field on leads, and then that source field also existed on contacts and maybe accounts. But if you ever added a new source, and that's a pick list, if you ever added a new option to that pick list, it doesn't update the other source fields. So then you would have to go into the other modules and update them. So now what the update is you can convert a pick list into a global set or create a new global set that you can use in different modules. The cool
Yeah.
feature is that you can actually convert an existing pick list into a global set, and then you'll just need to update your other pick list to make sure it's referencing that global set. But it's a very great, it's an awesome update. It helps keep the data uh, uh, the same across each module,
Yeah.
and it's been a long time coming. It's a really nice update.
Yeah, and there's a few of these too. I mean, as a best practice, that like if they're in your CRM, there's no reason you wouldn't do this, right? So things like lead source, like Josh was mentioning. Another big one is like industry, right? If you've got
Hmm.
different industries that you're working with, obviously any option in leads should also be in the accounts. So just being able to push those kind of across the board to all of these different modules, huge time saver. I mean, this is something that I think most people kind of expect would have been there the whole time, but now it is. And like Josh mentioned, you don't have to start from scratch. So if you have a custom pick list and you've already added it to 5 different places, you can just convert it to a global set. And so, good opportunity to kind of go through the CRM, figure out if there's any opportunity for you to do a little bit of cleanup, because this is a big quality of life improvement for Zoho CRM. It seems like,
Yeah.
not to go too off topic, but they've really been on a tear this year with a lot of these kind of long requested, I'll do air quotes with my hands for the audio listeners here, like, simple features, right, that people have been looking at for a long time. And they really seem to have put a lot of these to the top of the list. So good job, CRM team. Keep the ball rolling on
Hmm.
these. Alrighty, next story here is coming out of Zoho Backstage. Haven't had too many updates to this app in a while, mostly because it's pretty well rounded as is, or it doesn't need much more. What Zoho did go ahead and do, though, is add a new email designer and, to quote them, tons of customization options for you to be able to better design the look and feel of emails that are going out of Zoho Backstage. So, I mean, nice to have here. Obviously, Backstage, when you're running these events, yeah, they might be events you're selling to people. They might be events you're doing for marketing, really, whatever your use case is. But just being able to easily create nice looking emails is a pretty nice improvement here.
Yeah, they're really copying kind of the email designer inside of the CRM and a little bit inside of campaigns, some of the features you can do there. But to be able to customize these emails is a big win for Backstage because a lot of the communication is emails. Because
Yep.
this is customer facing and you want to be able to customize and brand those emails accordingly.
Got it. And I was going to show this video here of them showing it, but it is moving at lightning speed. And a lot of these images are done
Yeah.
at an angle. So I would say maybe open up the app and try it there. We'll look at some of these images because that thing is hurting my head. Looks like they can add text, images, image with a CTA, call to action, spacers. I mean, really everything you want. One nice thing I see in there is that there's actually a little tab for exhibitors. So if you wanted to reference some of the other people that were going to be there in the email, that's
Mhm.
pretty nice. So yeah, shout out to the team. Again, we don't see a ton of updates for this app, but it is one that's really good. And if you're going to be managing some events, not much reason to skip it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, with that, we can jump into our home stretch here. So we've got 4 of the kind of roll up updates here for various applications, starting with projects. This is their Q1 updates. Again, I think we caught most of these, but we like to go through them just to make sure. Looks like kind of added project workflow rules, right? So triggering an automation when a project is created. Custom functions triggering based on projects. Obviously, as Zoho developers by trade, the more places we can add a custom function, the better. Being able to do webhooks out based on certain activities is hugely nice to have. Email alerts and templates, parallel transitions for your blueprints. I mean, it's been kind of a busy quarter for the projects team. Any of these, Josh, that kind of stand out for you as we run through the list?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I mean, workflow rules on the project level is huge.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started in projects, there wasn't really much customization or workflow and custom function possibilities
Brutal.
really anywhere. So
Yeah.
then they launched it for tasks, and now it looks like they're bringing it for the project at a high level. And it's a really nice builder. You can add multiple custom functions. You can trigger webhooks, update fields, of
Yeah.
course, put in your criteria for which it's going to actually run. But then there's other updates in here too, like private groups. I think you can make project groups, which
Mhm.
maybe you want to prefix a certain group. You can do private task layouts. So
Mhm.
only users in that project are able to see those tasks. Um, and then there's other permissions control, like read
Yeah.
only for certain users. Um, yeah, a lot of really nice little small improvements, but they add up, and it's looking to be like a really powerful application now. And it's
Yeah.
maybe we're going to want to switch back. We'll see.
Don't even joke about that. We are tied into our portal like nobody other. But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the across the board, really shout out to the team. Projects has come a long way. Being able to trigger those automated functions. I mean, especially when they added it for tasks, that was the big one, right? Like a task of a certain name is closed, so let's do these things. Shout out to the team. That app only gets better and better. We don't use it ourselves, but that does not mean it's not good. You just got to pick the right task manager for how you do things in your business. Um, Kind of the sometimes forgotten cousin here of Zoho Project, Zoho Sprints, also got a round of Q1 updates here. Kind of at a high level, being able to set up recurring work items that need to be done, replies and reactions to comments, which in a sprint tool is really nice to have. Added some additional integrations for Zoho Writer, syncing priority levels from Zoho projects. A lot of times, what people do is have a big project. You might carve out a certain milestone to be managed as a sprint. So being able to sync all those priority levels is great to have. Um, Spreadsheet view for work items, looking at releases when logging hours, and then an integration with Zoho Notebook. This is one of those applications that we like hear good things about, but we just don't touch that much. A lot of people who are deep in the sprints methodology are just going to use Jira, and there's just very little you can do to convince them otherwise. But
Mhm.
altogether, good round of updates. Any of these kind of stand out on your side, Josh, or nothing? Nothing in
I think the
particular.
Zoho Writer one is pretty cool, where you can generate a mail merge document or have that document associated to the project.
Hmm.
I don't know the use case to this. Maybe you're creating a quote and that's part of one of the action items or tasks. So
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty cool extension. I'd have to play around with it more to actually understand its functionality. But um, yeah, I think in general, I just need to play around with sprints more. I have a lot of experience with projects, but
yeah,
sprints is its own kind of beast that I need to play around with a little bit more.
yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so let us jump on into the next quarterly roundup. Now, this is a product we have not talked about in a long time. This is Qntrl, Qntrl. This is a product that lives separate from Zoho One, but is technically still a Zoho product, I believe. It's like a separate brand, not included in the bundles, but obviously still run by Zoho because here it is on help.zoho.com. So they've handled kind of a few updates here. Qntrl, for those who haven't touched it, is kind of like a back-end database management platform. It does a lot of different things. Integration of data, approval processes that are application agnostic, right? So maybe a CEO doesn't need to go to Writer and CRM and Books. You kind of surface them all here. But again, it's one of those ones that we don't have a lot of hands-on experience with, mostly because it's outside of Zoho One, and a lot of these things can be accomplished without it, so people don't end up paying for it. A couple things they did: hourly schedules using custom functions in any data management platform. This is a need to have. Probably, I would have thought this was there from the get go, right? I mean, if you're going to do anything around integration, data management, workflow integration, or automation, you got to have that. Easier installations of a bridge being something that you can connect to a local device to get data out. So they've kind of improved the procedure to install those. And then this one here, they're looking at, we're now able to do a cluster in a bridge. So this is basically being able to say if you set up multiple different bridges to a particular data set, if there were issues, you'd be able to kind of auto switch from one to another. And then it looks like a handful of new things coming down the pipe. Orchestration modules going to be added, which for longtime Zoho nerds, this app was originally called Orchestly. So they're calling back to the roots there. Going to add a Kanban board, a gallery, external users being able to do transitions, and then some dashboards as well. But yeah, Josh, is one of those ones that I see stuff, I think it's cool, but it's just, a lot of times we work at the demand of customers, and a lot of our
Hmm.
customers don't sign up for this, so we end up just not really getting much use out of it.
Yeah, one of the biggest use cases that I can see would be using the bridge because a lot of clients, maybe they're using QuickBooks Desktop and need a way to integrate that with Zoho. Yes, you
Yeah.
can integrate desktop into analytics, but you could also theoretically install this bridge onto your computer that would allow you to access the local information on your computer and push it into Zoho. I haven't played around with it. I don't know exactly how it works. Um, but theoretically, it's not limited to just QuickBooks Desktop. You could do any other application that you have installed locally on either your server or on your desktop. And it sounds like a really cool feature that I really want to play around with more. But um, yeah, I just haven't done it yet.
Yep. Got it. And on to, I think, our last news story here. I glance left to check my reference list here. I think, yeah, this is our last one. This is for Zoho People. This is their monthly newsletter here for April, coming out a bit early, given that it's only the 21st. This is something that they do every month. They're one of the very few Zoho teams who does something like this, so we always like to shout it out. Looks like on new things coming this or that have come out in the last month, being able to mark a couple courses as incomplete. It looks like an expansion for the Outlook integration to approve and reject requests. Annual engagement surveys coming out. And then it looks like they are doing a webinar here on April 27th at 3:30 p.m. IST, which is going to be brutal, I think, for anyone in the US to get on at that time. It would be pretty early in the morning, I believe. But if you are an early riser and a Zoho People person, I would recommend it. And yeah, I mean, again, if you are using this product, you should subscribe to their newsletter. It's really good. We don't cover everything in it every single month, but they do a great job with the newsletter. So shout out to them. Keep doing these. Maybe eventually other Zoho apps will follow suit.
Mhm.
Alrighty. I think with that, we're ready to jump on into our implementation of the week. Alrighty, so this is one that we recently built out for a customer here, kind of a team job from John Oda, our director of finance, as well as Andrew here, kind of one of our developers who took the lead on the actual build out. So this is a automated workflow to provide customers an early payment discount via Zoho Books. So really the goal here is the client was trying to speed up collections on open invoices. And they thought, you know what, we're willing to give a small discount if somebody pays early, but we don't want to have to manually remember to go in and remove that discount if they haven't paid in, 14, 21 days, so on. So what we did is we set up a custom field inside of a customer record where our client can determine what percent discount that customer should get if they do choose to pay early. Um, when an invoice is created, we can go ahead and reference that discount amount and essentially add it as an adjustment to that invoice, or subtract it really from the total as an adjustment to that invoice. If the customer pays it within that period of time, it will go ahead and close the invoice. We're all good. Everything has been taken care of. Otherwise, after a fixed period of time, the discount will actually auto remove itself, because we're no longer in the early payment period where that discount should be available. So kind of a simple one, just really all here within Zoho Books, no third-party APIs, nothing too crazy, a little bit of deluge here, but an implementation that should be pretty widely useful, I would imagine. I don't think our client would be the only one doing this, and being able to automate it, it's kind of why not, right?
Yeah, kudos Andrew for building it out and John for designing it. I think it's a great function and a lot of use cases where you might want to discount and incentivize early payments. So,
Yeah,
of
or even
course,
like a late fee. You could like inverse this and
yeah,
make it a late fee, right?
true,
If it was
true,
over a
absolutely.
certain number of days, you could adjust up, right? It's all kind of the
Hmm.
same. So yeah, nice implementation, guys. Shout out to John and Andrew, and John for getting your hands dirty with some deluge here. He's really taken to it like a fish to water.
Yeah, he is.
Alrighty. With that, I think we can jump on into our code share of the week. Alrighty, so this is one that Greg went ahead and added this week. It is all about syncing CRM pipeline metadata to Zoho Analytics. Want to run us through this one, Josh? Kind of what's going on here, what we're looking to do?
Yeah, so actually, I didn't look too much into the code, but kudos, Greg. He's always posting code shares. Looks like this one, he is, if I'm just going to read through the code live, we are grabbing pipeline information, and then from the pipeline, for each pipeline, we are getting pipeline names and stages. And then, let's see, you're catching me
Looks
off
like for
guard
each
here
of
on
those,
this one,
then we're
Tyler.
adding them. Yeah, live coding exam, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
then looks like for each of those different pipelines, we're actually pushing them over into Zoho Analytics. This kind of solves one of
Mhm.
those challenges where maybe you have a B2B and a B2C pipeline. You want to be able to report on those into Zoho Analytics. And I believe the challenge that goes on here is that while you do get a pipeline ID in analytics, you don't get the pipeline name. And so what
Mm.
Greg's doing here is essentially pulling over all the data about the pipelines, which we can then kind of join in with the sales data and use it for ongoing reporting. So shout out to Greg. I mean, really, I think when I look at the code here, it should only require one or two edits around your org ID, workspace ID, and table view ID. Check out some of our code tutorials. You should be able to figure out where to pull those from within Zoho Analytics. But shout out to Greg and yeah, go over check out club.zenatta.com. We've got a free code library that we add at least one thing to every week. Now more and more of the contributors that are not Zenatta employees are throwing things in there, so it's even better. And with that, I think we can jump on into the read of the week. All right, so this read comes to us from the Zapier blog. We haven't pulled from this one in a little while. They do good work over there. Title of the blog, it's how you can and when you shouldn't use ChatGPT to write marketing copy. Of course, this is our token ChatGPT topic of the week so that the YouTube transcript SEOs nicely because they know we're talking about something trendy. And so within this guide, they're kind of running through a high level first of how these content generators actually work. Like, what are they doing behind the scenes? Breakdown of GPT-3 versus 4, and then kind of a guide on how to best use these bots, right, to, get things done. And I think really from what I look at in here, it looks like a big thing is use it to brainstorm, right? Use
Mhm.
it to analyze the SEO of some things that you're doing and give some feedback. But maybe try not to use it to just write the whole thing, right? Is kind of the takeaway that I'm getting from this article is, it's
Yeah.
better for an outline than it is for a finished product. Is that kind of what you're getting, Josh?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. And also, I think there's some tips in here like defining your audience and your tone
Mm,
whenever you're asking ChatGPT to write a piece of content, because it doesn't know who your audience or what your tone is for the output it's going to give you. So define that. Um, but also, yeah, just remember it's not going to be perfect. It is kind of delayed in its data. So if you're looking for anything that's up to date, current, you're just going to have to fill in the blanks there.
yeah.
One thing that we didn't really go over in the writer updates is uh, ChatGPT now has an extension in Zoho Writer, and you can actually
Mhm.
write out commands and copy those into Writer documents. Another extension in Writer is you can push that document into your website. So this kind of all ties in together. Just
Yeah.
knowing you might need to make a few tweaks before publishing that document.
Yeah. I think it kind of highlights here, you got to be careful when you're using it, is because if you like ask it, for example, to make sure to include a certain keyword or something that you want to have from an SEO perspective, it'll do it, but it might not do it well. Right. So like,
Mhm.
for example, here they kind of wrote that they wanted an article about a primary keyword, what is AI? Right. And when you look at the response from ChatGPT 4, man, it really makes sure that that's in there. It just kind of brute forced it into every single bullet, that phrase,
Mhm.
right? So, these can definitely speed things up. I know our producer, Freddie, uses these types of tools all the time, but then they also go through Freddie's judgment, right? To decide what's good, what isn't, what needs to be adjusted. But these are incredible tools that you can use to, make one person as effective as two or three. So nice read. Check out that Zapier blog. They do a good job over there. And with that, we can go ahead and jump over to what's new on Zenatta.com. Alrighty, so over on the Zenatta blog, we have our full write-up here on the Zoho Social full product overview tutorial that we did just earlier this week. This one was recorded by Wayne, our director of marketing, and me. We had a good time kind of going through this. Core things that we covered, kind of the initial getting started, connecting the channels, the brands, all that good stuff. Going through how to actually make a post. I mean, that's, I think, kind of the A1 thing we'd want to do. How to do some monitoring, track the people you're connected with, collaborate on future posts. And then I jump back in to run through some of the reporting and lead form integration for CRM. Again, all this information and more will be in the video, but if you are just sick of hearing my voice, you can jump over here and get really all the high level stuff in our blog. Alrighty. I think last but not least, we can go ahead and jump into our tip of the week. Alrighty, so this is Josh recorded pre whatever's gone on to the hair flow here, looking a little smaller in this video. Yeah, this video here using Zoho survey responses to kickstart a campaign workflow. Maybe you want to run us through, Josh, kind of what we're doing here and why someone might want this.
Yeah, so this is actually a question that we had in one of our Azazes, I think 2 weeks back. And on the Azaz, Ask Zenatta anything about Zoho, we answered a question that asked, how can we kick off a workflow inside of campaigns using a survey? And so I basically go through the entire step and process of creating that form inside of surveys, linking it from survey to the CRM, and then syncing from CRM into campaigns, ensuring that the field is synced over as well, and then walk through how to create a segment, and then triggering that workflow off of a contact entering into that segment. So follow the steps on this. It's how many minutes is that? 10 minutes?
It's 6 minutes. It's kind of a
Six
quickie.
minutes, yeah. So it's not too long, uh, pretty high level, and go pretty fast. But if you need to slow it down,
Nice.
you can. Yeah, it's there for you if you need it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I would think like use cases here, right? Like if you sent out an NPS survey, maybe promoters want to go down one workflow to see if you can get them to recommend or refer, whereas maybe detractors go on some type of win back, like how could we do better type of workflow. So there's like a lot of cases where you'd want to send someone down one of these paths based on filling out a survey. So obviously, Josh kind of gives you the bones here, but get creative, right? This is kind of the baseline, and you could of course do a whole lot more with this over time as you continue to build it out.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah,
not
thanks, Josh.
limited to just triggering the workflow off of a survey. I mean, this is my example is how to trigger it off a survey, but you could maybe start from the CRM and how are you going to trigger a campaign off of just a field update in the CRM. So pick where you want to start the journey and then just kind of follow along and we'll get you there.
Yeah, like a classic one there would be like lead status goes to cold, right?
Yeah,
Like no survey required. Cold lead, put them in the drip, right? Like
exactly.
yeah, tons of use cases for this. Shout out to you for getting this done, and hopefully the viewers do find it useful.
I hope so.
Alrighty, and I think that should just about wrap it up for the show this week. We were expedient and efficient. That is the Josh Oliver effect. Thanks again for joining, Josh. It's always fun to have you on.
Yeah, I love joining. Yeah, thanks for having me. And thank
Absolutely.
you, Brett, for drinking some wine.
Yeah. There you go. All righty. And with that, I guess we can get into our wrap up here. If you do want to get in touch with Zenatta, myself, Josh, Brett, really any of us, head over to zenatta.com and book a meeting with us there. On the website, of course, is where you'll find complete episodes of the CRM Zen Show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. If you want that news delivered straight to your inbox every Monday morning, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. And as always, we would love and appreciate if you would like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We will see you next Friday.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.